And so we've come to our final and very important stage, which we call milk reintroduction. We do this via the milk ladder. And the milk ladder is a type of active allergy management, which is basically just the way that we're asking for your help in order to help your child build up tolerance to cow's milk protein and outgrow their allergy. We recommend that this stage should be completed between 9 and 12 months of age. We often give this range because what we recommend is starting it when your child is happy and well and free of illness. It might be that at 9 months of age, your child might be going through a lot of teething and might be quite unsettled. If this is the case, it might be more appropriate to wait a couple of months and consider trying this around about 12 months of age. When starting the milk ladder and building up exposures, we recommend generally that these be twice in a week and that they are spread 3 days apart. This allows us to confidently say whether a child has or has not tolerated what we've given them, and if any symptoms have been seen, what their symptoms were in response to. Basically, if we gave them half a biscuit and waited 3 days they had symptoms, we know that it was that half a biscuit that they reacted to, rather than us giving it day after day after day. We don't know at what point the child had a reaction. So the very first sort of steps of the milk ladder include some baked milk. So the step 1 is a cookie or a biscuit, and there are recipes which accompany the milk ladder, which should be provided by your dietitian. So step 1, the cookie, contains a very small amount of cow's milk protein, which when cooked and baked at a high temperature for a long period of time, breaks down that protein that we know that the child has an issue with. In breaking it down, it makes it less likely to cause the child to have a reaction. If the child has tolerated step 1 and we're looking to move up, we move on to step 2, which is our muffin stage. This recipe contains slightly more milk that's baked at a lower temperature for a shorter period of time. So basically, more milk that's less cooked. And that same process is followed as we move up the milk ladder towards the point that the child is able to tolerate whole cow's milk. We'd recommend that when you are, say for instance, at step 4, which is our cheese step, it's not that the child needs to have all 4 foods that came before that point. If they are on step 4, they only need to have the cheese. They don't need to have cheese, a pancake, a muffin, and a biscuit, because let's face it, they'd just be too full. We recommend that as you find your point of tolerance for the child, basically the time that they don't have a reaction, stick with that for a little while to see at least 2 times that they've tolerated it. If it is that the child has had a reaction, and maybe they've had a bit of a sore tummy, what we'd recommend doing is either dropping down the amount you're given, so if it was a muffin, go down to half a muffin, or if it is that at any level of a stage when you've moved up, the child has had a reaction, go back to the step before, because persevering and sticking with the level that the child can tolerate is the best thing. Don't stop it altogether, because if you do stop and you try to restart things, you might find that the child has to go back to the beginning rather than just the step that they managed before. What we're going to talk about next is about how the child might go on to outgrow their allergy and what you can expect from that. So, like I had previously said, 90% of children do naturally outgrow their milk allergy. What we don't bank on is the fact that whether your child is in that 90% or that 10%, we treat all children with a milk allergy in the same way, in that we recommend that the milk ladder should commence around about 9 to 12 months of age. Different children progress at different rates, so it's totally normal for one child to be at a certain stage, whereas another child might be a bit further along or a bit further behind. I'd recommend that if your child is struggling, but is tolerating some level, persevere with that, stick with that. That's a real great positive, and in time they will continue to build up tolerance. Our overall goal is that by the time that the child is approaching school age, that they should be able to tolerate some level of cow's milk protein. For some, this might be the first couple of steps of the milk ladder, the baked milk. For others, this might be the top step and have completed the milk ladder in the fact that they can drink cow's milk as a drink. Don't be afraid. Keep going with things and persevere. It's the best thing you can do to help manage your child's allergy. And now, just to conclude things, we're going to go across to some questions that we commonly get asked as dietitians about the milk ladder.
So thank you very much for that useful information about the milk ladder then, Kieran. One question that I have heard parents say is when they're wondering what happens if their child's been introduced to milk before 9 months of age, what would happen then?
Definitely, that's a really good question. And a lot of that comes back to what we were talking before about the accidental milk exposures. These things can and probably will happen. If it is that the child has tolerated it, and even if it's, say, a yogurt, for instance, it's not even a biscuit, if the child has been absolutely fine afterwards, I'd always recommend trying that again. And if so, trying to see if they can tolerate a bit further as well. Maybe give them a bit of milk or give them something a bit higher that would have been on the milk ladder. If it is that they tolerate it, there's no reason that they can't have it in their diet. And perhaps if they're not yet tolerating the top steps, wait to 9 to 12 months to start them.
Okay, thank you. That's
Definitely.
brilliant.
Good. Just another question that I had for you, Karen, is that another one that we commonly get asked is why parents can't just keep their child on a milk-free diet, for instance. Their children are well, why do we have to change things?
Oh yeah, I understand that question. It's really understandable actually, because your child's well, you know, they're thriving, and you may think, well, why do we need to go through the milk ladder? But it's really, really important. If you didn't introduce your child to any milk products at all, you wouldn't build up their tolerance to allergy. And the risk then is that your allergy might actually get more severe. So your child might have a more severe reaction to milk. Let's say they're 5 years old at a birthday party and they get accidentally exposed to a bit of birthday cake containing milk. They might have a more severe allergy, and we really, really don't want that to happen. So it's important that you think of the milk ladder as an essential part of the treatment for your child's cow's milk protein allergy.
Absolutely.
So finally, one question I wondered is what happens after 1 year or 2 years with these kids? What should they have as their main milk drink then?
Yeah, perfect. It is one we get asked a lot, so it's important that we do go through this. We did say that around about a year or 12 months is when we would review whether the child needed to continue on their special milk, basically their specialist milk. So if it is that the child can tolerate cow's milk at this point, we can move them on to whole cow's milk, because that is what's recommended for a child who doesn't have a cow's milk protein allergy, for instance. If it is that they can't tolerate this level yet, they might be on the milk ladder but maybe not completed it. What we recommend is that if they tolerate soya, is that they can have the Alpro Soya 1 to 3 growing up milk as their milk drink. This is nutritionally balanced for children over a year for them to have to meet all their nutritional requirements that they would have gotten from cow's milk. If it is that they can't tolerate either the cow's milk or the soya, what we'd recommend in that case would be that their specialist milk should stay in place at least until 2 years of age. At 2 years of age, it can be that children can have any plant-based milk alternative except rice that we've previously spoken about that contains calcium and iodine added into it, because these are closer to semi-skimmed milk in their nutrition, which we can recommend freely for children over 2 years of age.
Fantastic. So milks like pea milk, hemp milk, oat milk,
Absolutely.
cashew milk, they're all suitable for children after 2 years of age.
Definitely, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for all that useful information. I think that was a brilliant session, and I hope that our parents and carers found that useful. If you have any more questions about cow's milk protein allergy, please do speak to your dietitian or speak to another healthcare professional about it. And we just wish you all the best of luck, don't we?
Absolutely. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.